Chapter 6: Understanding Stress, Immunity, and Disease. During your last lesson, you learned about the nervous system. The nervous system plays a central role in the physiology of stress. When a person perceives stress, the sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system stimulates the adrenal medulla, producing catecholamines and arousing the person from a resting state. The perception of stress also prompts a second route of response through the pituitary gland, which releases adrenocorticotropic hormone. This hormone in turn affects the adrenal cortex, which produces glucocorticoids. These hormones prepare the body to resist stress. For this lesson, we are going to discuss our immune system's role in stress. After this lesson, you will be able to describe how the immune system functions, explain how the field of psychoneuroimmunology relates to behavior and disease, and determine if stress caused disease. The immune system consists of tissues, organs, and processes that protect the body from invasion by foreign microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi. It also removes worn out or damaged cells from the body. In addition to removing those damaged and worn out cells, it also patrols for mutant cells. Once the immune system locates these invaders and renegades, it activates processes to eliminate them. Thus, a well-functioning immune system plays a crucial role in maintaining health. The immune system is spread throughout the body in the form of the lymphatic system. The immune system includes lymph and lymph nodes throughout which lymph circulates. Various types of lymphocytes include T cells, B cells, and natural killer NK cells. The thymus, tonsil, and spleen are also involved in the production, maturation, and differentiation of the various types of lymphocytes. The thymus, which has endocrine functions, secretes a hormone called thymosin, which is involved in the maturation and differentiation of the T cells. Have you ever had swollen lymph nodes during or right after a cold? Well, based upon your reading and this lecture, how is this part of the healing process? I want you to think about that. Overall, the main function of the immune system is to defend against foreign substances that the body encounters. And it must be extraordinarily effective to prevent 100% of the invading bacteria, viruses, and fungi from damaging one's body. When foreign substances attack the body, they must pass through the skin and mucous membranes. If they are able to do that, then they face two non-specific mechanisms: the phagocytosis or inflammation. Phagocytosis involves several mechanisms that can quickly result in the destruction of invading bacteria, viruses, and fungi. However, some invaders still escape this non-specific action, and inflammation occurs. Inflammation works to restore tissues that have been damaged by invader. When injury occurs, vessels in the area of injury dilate, increasing blood flow to the tissues and causing the warmth and redness that accompany inflammation. The damaged cells release enzymes that help destroy invading microorganisms. These enzymes can also aid in their own digestion should the cells die. Contact with microorganisms sensitizes T cells, and they acquire specific receptors on their surfaces that enable them to recognize the invader. This leads to the formation of cytotoxic T cells that subsequently mobilize a direct attack on these invaders. This process is referred to as cell-mediated immunity. B cells, the other variety of lymphocytes, with the help of helper T cells, differentiate into plasma cells and manufacture antibodies in response to specific invading cells for later destruction. Foreign substances that provoke antibody manufacture are called antigens. Even after these invaders have been destroyed, the immune system keeps this critical information in the form of memory lymphocytes. Memory lymphocytes can persist for years, but will not be activated unless the antigen invader reappears. The memory lymphocytes attack in the same way as the initial attack in the first exposure. but much more rapidly. This specifically tailored rapid response to foreign microorganisms that occur with repeated exposure is called immunity. Let me repeat that. This specifically tailored rapid response to foreign microorganisms that occur with repeated exposure is called immunity. This system of immune response through B cell recognition of antigens and their manufacture of antibodies is called humoral immunity because it happens in the bloodstream. So how do we go about supporting immunity? Well, one way is through vaccinations. Vaccination is the introduction of a weakened form of bacteria or virus into the body to stimulate the production of antibodies that confer immunity for an extended period. Each virus requires such treatment, which makes this process effective for some viruses, such as smallpox, but not for others, such as a variety of viruses that cause the common cold. So when we discuss immune system disorders, we refer to them as immune deficiency. So essentially, immune deficiency is an inadequate immune response. It leaves a person open to infection from viruses, bacteria, fungi, and parasites. The immune system fails to develop properly for some children, thereby leaving them without immune protection. A common type of immune deficiency is acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or AIDS. This disease is caused by a virus, the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. This virus destroys the T cells and macrophages in the immune system. Allergies are another immune system disorder. An allergic response is an abnormal reaction to a foreign substance that normally elicits little or no immune reaction. Autoimmune diseases are the diseases in which the immune system fails to distinguish the body from an invader, and it mounts the same vicious attack against itself that it would against an intruder. So when one delves into the study or the understanding of the immune system, one will look at psychoneuroimmunology. This is a multidisciplinary field that focuses on the interactions among behavior. So when one wants to better understand how the nervous system, endocrine system, and immune system interacts with each other, well, we refer to that discipline, well, it's actually a multidisciplinary field called psychoneuroimmunology. So this field has a driven need to examine the immune system alongside other body systems like the nervous system and endocrine system, as they all exchange information with each other and impact health. In 1975, Robert Adler and Nicholas Cohen demonstrated that the nervous system, the immune system, and behavior could interact, a discovery that created the field of psychoneuroimmunology. One that the nervous system and immune system communicate is through cytokines. These are chemical messengers secreted by cells in the immune system. Pro-inflammatory cytokines, a type of cytokines, promote inflammation. Research in psychoneuroimmunology strives to develop an understanding of the role of behavior in changes to the immune system and the development of disease. To reach this goal, researchers must establish a connection between psychological factors and changes in immune function, and also between its lowered immune function and changes in health status. Ideally, research should include all three components: psychological factors such as stress, immune system malfunction, and development of disease, to establish the connection between stress and disease. Most study in psychoneuroimmunology have demonstrated that behavior can suppress immune system function. Such study followed older adults who were responsible for providing care to a spouse with dementia. Compared to non-caregiving control, the the caregivers showed poorer functioning in several measures of immune status. Furthermore, the caregivers reported having more days of infectious illness. The poorer immune functioning was particularly apparent in the caregivers who had low levels of social support. Remember, we discussed social support last week. A few studies use behavioral interventions to attempt to boost immune function. Researchers have designed interventions aimed at increasing the effectiveness of the immune system, such as hypnosis, relaxation, and stress management. But a meta-analysis of these studies indicated only modest effects. However, a 10-week cognitive behavioral stress management intervention for women under treatment for breast cancer led to some improvements in immune measures over a 6-month period. So the link between behavior and depressed immune function must occur through some physical mechanism, and research has examined both the actions of the peripheral nervous system during stress and that of the neuroendocrine responses in the brain. The immune system can also signal the nervous system by the way of cytokines. Stressed people may behave differently and often pay less attention to a healthy lifestyle. Thus, the interrelationship between the nervous system and the immune system is complex, with many possibility for mutual influence. So, does stress cause disease? Well, disease is caused by many factors, and stress may be one of those factors. However, most people who experience substantial stress do not develop a disease. Many factors cause disease, and stress may be one of those factors. When considering the link between stress and disease, remember that most people who experience substantial stress do not develop a disease. Furthermore, in contrast to other risk factors such as having high cholesterol levels, smoking cigarettes, or drinking alcohol, the risks conferred by life events are usually temporary. Yet even temporary stress affects some people more than others. Why does stress affect some people, apparently causing them to get sick and leave others unaffected? The diathesis stress model suggests that some individuals are vulnerable to stress-related diseases because their genetic weakness or biochemical imbalance inherently predisposes them to those diseases. Whether inherited or acquired, the vulnerability to stress-related disease is relatively permanent. For people with a strong predisposition to a disease, even a mild environmental stressor may be sufficient to produce an illness episode. So let's repeat that. The diathesis stress model assumes two factors. One, the person has a predisposition to the disease, and that predisposition could be biochemical, or it can be abuse or maltreatment during childhood, which can cause or create vulnerabilities to disorders. The second is the person experiences some sort of stress. The direct link between stress and disease may come through effects on the nervous, immune, or endocrine system. Indirect effects could include health threats that occur because of changes in health practices related to stress. Some evidence exists concerning the link between stress and a variety of physical and psychological problems. Stress may also accelerate the normal aging process by shortening the length of telomeres, and this new area of research highlights the multiple ways in which stress could influence disease. So I want to highlight several diseases that may be impacted by stress. The first is headaches. Headaches are a common problem, but most do not require medical attention. Of those that occur, tension and migraine headaches are the most common, and stress is a factor in both. Daily hassles play a bigger role than traumatic life events in producing chronic headaches. And research shows that vulnerability to stress interact to produce headaches. The other is infectious diseases. Early research indicated that participants who experienced a decline in desirable events or an increase in undesirable events developed somewhat more infectious diseases. However, later, research by Sheldon Cohen and his associates found that the higher the person's stress, the more susceptible the person was to a cold virus. Later research has shown that stress is a factor in many infectious diseases and the progression of HIV infection. Cardiovascular disease has a number of risk factors, some of which are related to stress. For people with pre-existing cardiovascular disease, stress increases their risk of heart attack. A large international study identified several psychological stressors as a risk for heart attack, included workplace and home stress, financial problems, major life events, depression, and external locus of control. Stress may contribute to the development of asthma. This may be through the effects of the cytokines involved in inflammation. Another physical disorder associated with stress relates to diabetes and pregnancy. Research has shown those who are diabetic and experience stress, it's harder for them to lower their blood glucose levels. Studies also show that stress experienced by pregnant women increases their chances of premature delivery. And I want you to remember this note on pregnancy. And also your textbook goes into a little bit more details about stress's impact on pregnancy. I want you to note this because we will be discussing this further in class. Stress is also related to several psychological disorders in ways that the diathesis stress model predicts. Some people exposed to stressors develop these disorders, whereas others do not. Mood changes can also lead to changes in immune function. Changes in immune functioning may underlie several psychological disorders. 1. Anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders include panic attacks, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is by definition related to stress, and PTSD also produces suppression of the immune system. Stress is less clearly related to other anxiety disorders, partly because the overlap between anxiety and depression make it difficult to disentangle the two problems. Stress is one factor that makes people vulnerable to the development of depressive symptoms, but effective coping protects against depression. A negative outlook or the tendency to ruminate over problems increases the risk for depression. Genetic vulnerability is also a risk. The route through which stress may produce depression is through the effect of the pro-inflammatory cytokines produced by the immune system. So given what you have learned in this chapter, how might you try to reduce stress in your own life to promote better health? You can also combine what you've learned in previous chapters. As usual, if you have any questions or feedback or concerns, please email me, come to my office hours, or you can leave an anonymous question or feedback as long as it's very respectful using the tiny URL link. Stay healthy.